when the goods arrived at night, and I'll get to that in a moment, and the implications for that. But so the screening and the requirements in terms of the packing, President Biden had to call Prime Minister Netanyahu on the second day that goods were supposed to go in. So that would have been the 22nd or the 23rd or something like that, because in addition to the technical issues and the security issues, there's political issues as well. And there's a certain amount of pressure on the government of Israel in terms of its domestic politics, and you can ask them about that. And that delays things, just also in terms of the maximum number that I think the government of Israel is prepared to allow us to bring in. So it's technical and political security. All of those issues are at play. Yes, we're negotiating intensively, and as I've said, we're in touch with various parts of the Israeli government on almost a daily basis. We need to get the trucks back up to, well, we need the electricity lines to be reconnected, and I've heard the government of Israel saying they will not be doing that. We need to get the fuel trucks in. We need to get fuel for the Gaza power plant running again. And we need to do it in a secure way that offers Israel assurances to make sure that it's not going to be diverted. So those can be very tricky. It needs to be secure and balanced with making sure we're able to get the fuel in. Aid to the north, there have been some deliveries made to Shifa Hospital, etc. We have a system in place globally called the Humanitarian Notification System. And this is something that is used worldwide in conflicts like this, where parties to the conflict are expected to acknowledge and accommodate humanitarian notifications. So when we notify a party to the conflict, we are going to be moving here in 2 hours, here's the coordinates, and this is what we're delivering. There is an expectation of parties to the conflict that they will ensure that there are no strikes in those areas at the time.
Thank you very much. Imogen Fawkes, the BBC correspondent in Geneva.
Yeah, good morning. Can you hear me okay?
Go ahead.
Okay, 2 questions. First, there's been dispute about the number of deaths in Gaza. Some are questioning and suggesting that the authorities in Gaza are exaggerating them. And the second about getting aid to the north. I think we heard just a day or 2 ago that the security guarantees to move aid efficiently around Gaza, and especially to the north, were just not forthcoming. Does that remain the case? You were slightly vague in your answer originally.
Yeah. So I've heard the reports about the numbers as well. Currently, the UN is relying on the numbers from the Ministry of Health inside of Gaza, just as we did rely on the numbers provided to us by the government of Israel in terms of the casualties from October 7th. We're in a situation right now where it's obviously very, very difficult for us to confirm them. We do have processes for every time there is violence, be it an escalation in Gaza or casualties in the West Bank, where we do try and confirm everything. This is obviously going to be a long-term process. Right now, people who bodies are actually stacked up outside. There is no proper organization, but the Ministry of Health did send us all the names of everybody who's been killed. So for the moment, we attribute the sources. I will leave it to you to determine whether or not you believe they are accurate, but I guess at some point, how many thousands dead is too many to start calling for an end to this. In terms of, so the government of Israel has been clear that they don't want us delivering in the north. So our staff will have to assume certain security risks if we determine the assistance that we have to be life-saving and needs to be delivered. We have a very, we obviously have a risk and security mechanism that we go by to determine whether or not we should be delivering under certain circumstances.
Thank you very much. John Zaro Costas, France 24 English Channel and The Lancet. John, we can't hear you. Yeah, now it's fine.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're on.
Yes. Good morning. I was wondering if you could please clarify a little bit on the figures you gave earlier. You said that 2/3 of the primary health clinics had to close because they were either damaged or lack of fuel. Can you tell us how many had to close down because they were damaged? And also the same with the hospitals. You said 1/3 shut down. How many was it due to damage or to lack of fuel? And are you prioritizing the fuel supplies to hospitals as the ones where they have the maximum of dialysis machines and incubators where without the power there could be certain death?
Yeah, I'm just trying to see if I've got I don't think I have the exact split in terms of damage versus fuel. I suspect some of them have an issue with both of that. I don't have that breakdown, sorry. And then yes, this prioritization is exactly the issue about the difficult decisions. So we are aware of the 1,000 patients that require dialysis and over 100 children, babies that are in incubators. So we do our best to try and make the prioritization in accordance with the greatest needs.
Jamila, I see you have a follow-up, but bear with me. Let me go to the other two, give a chance to everybody to ask a question, and I'll come back to you if we have time. Musa Assi is our correspondent from Al Mayadeen. Musa, we can't hear you.
Yes,
okay.
Thank you.
Vous êtes là.
Merci. The representative of Palestinian Authority told us yesterday more than 1,000 Palestinians who were working in Israel were arrested by Israeli forces after October 7. Do you confirm that? And if you have any information about the status of these people? Thank you.
I'm not able to confirm those numbers. Sorry. And to be honest with you, I'm not able to determine whether or not charges have been laid or if they're in administrative detention. Our colleagues from OHCHR would be following that up, but I don't have the data with me right now.
Yeah, and Ravina is coming in a moment to brief you on the human rights situation in the Palestinian territory, so you can ask that question to her. Emma Farge, Reuters.
Yes, good morning. I was just wondering how much aid currently is stuck at the border waiting to go into Gaza. Can you quantify that? Thank you.
Yeah. I don't know the exact number of trucks that are there right now. The last count, which was some time ago, was 150. The issue also, though, is how much aid is actually stuck at El Rish. And I actually don't have that number, so I will look into that because that's an important question.
And I take the opportunity to tell you that Ismini Palla, that you all know because she was actually heading the communication on our Black Sea Grain Initiative, is now working with Lynn. You have her contact, so if you need to follow up on what Lynn said, or Lynn, please, Ismini has the contact with our journalist, and I welcome her. She's online. Jamil, thank you for your patience. You want to ask your follow-up?
Yes, thank you so much. It's just a clarification. First, on the numbers of foreigners in Gaza, you mentioned 7,000. Is that correct? 7,000 foreigners in Gaza negotiating a departure. And secondly, also a clarification on the fuel, on the reports of fuel with Hamas. You first said you're not aware, but then you said that if there are then it would be used for this and not that. But can you be clear? Are you aware or you're not aware of the existence of fuel with Hamas? Thank you.
Yeah, I didn't actually say 7,000. Whoever asked the question said 7,000. I have heard 7,000. I have not seen a list. So I cannot confirm if it's 7,000 or not. So on the fuel, what I did confirm is that there's a fuel pump at Rafah on the side in Gaza. There was, to our knowledge, and our UNRWA staff have gone out to access 200,000 liters 4 days, right? 200,000 for on how do you say that? Accessing fuel for over the course of 4 days, 200,000 liters each. We have used that for UNRWA operations, hospitals, and desalination plants, and some bakeries. That's what I know. I have heard allegations that maybe Hamas has others. I am not privy to that information.
Catherine, I've just seen your chat. I put the contact details of his mini in the chat, but maybe you have a follow-up and then we'll close.
Thank you, Alessandra. Yes, because it would be nice to share the contact details of the communication person.
I put it in the chat.
Yes, thank you so much, Alessandra and Lynn. No, I'd like to come back on what Jamil just asked, because I took note about 7,000 people dead, included 3,000 children. So could you be very, very clear on what you know and what you don't know, what has been confirmed and not confirmed? That is the reason why we need your notes as soon as possible. Please, that would be very nice of you and very useful. And the second element was regarding the arrests. Do you confirm that people have been arrested? We don't, it's not a question how many or what, but is it clear that you got the information that people have been arrested since October 7? Yes or no? Thank you.
Okay, I think there's confusion about the 7,000 number, because unfortunately, I think what I said was at least 6,500 dead, and that is a number from the Gaza Ministry of Health. They have sent out a list of all the names of those people who have died. That's where I described the fact that we would be trying to confirm that number, and any increases in the number, maybe it will be less in the end. There's a lot of people who are missing. We will try and do that throughout however long this war lasts and after the war. But I'm sure you can all appreciate that the UN cannot come out with a number right now because we're not able to do the proper verification. Unfortunately, the other 7,000 number is the number of nationals who are going out, which I thought is what Jamil was talking about, but maybe I was wrong on that. 7,000 nationals is a list that has been compiled not by the United Nations. I'm not able to confirm that. The arrests I have seen reports, but please ask my OHCHR colleagues.
Yeah, in a moment.
I am personally not in a position to tell you.
Of course.
I don't have that information in front of me.
No worries, Lynn. Lynn, I'm sorry, there is AFP who's asking for the floor. If you can take that last question, then we will close and we will go to the regular briefing. Just the very, very last.
Thanks.
Robin Miller.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you. Just a question on the fuel. In normal times, who is buying the fuel and who is selling the fuel? Is it the United Nations buying from Israel? Is it just a straight UN transaction across the border? Is it Hamas buying from Israel? What in normal times? How does that work? Thank you.
Yeah, so there's many different ways. UNRWA has been buying fuel through Israel for, I guess, decades. So that's one way. The fuel for the Gaza power plant also came in through Israel. And then there's lots of private businesses in Gaza, and they have their own ways to bring in fuel, and the UN, we're not monitoring all of that. They have relationships of their own with either fuel companies in Israel and also with Kogat, who administers these things on behalf of the Israelis. So the private market, UN market, the PA Gaza power plant, various, like any society, it's just more difficult to get things in, but all sorts of different vendors, I guess. And there was also fuel coming in through Egypt. So a lot of, I think, Palestinians would buy through Egypt as well.
Lynn, thank you so very much for your time, for your, being so generous with your time. We really wish you, first of all, to stay safe. That's the most important thing, and also to continue with your incredibly important work. Please come back and brief the journalists here in Geneva whenever you want. We will always be happy to hear from you. And thanks to Ismini for following up on the questions of the journalists. I'd like to ask everybody now to make a 5-minute pause, and then we will start with the regular press briefing, and we will still be talking about the situation in the Middle East with the representatives of the World Food Programme, WHO, and Ravina from OHCHR. Thank you very much again to our colleagues of OCHA and Lynn in particular. I'll see you in 5 minutes here. Same link.